I know, right? That's what I was like, you want to start?
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to episode 2 of season 2 of Imperial Everyday Woman. This is Dr. D.
And this is Ashley.
And more than it being the second episode of the second season, it is our first episode of 2020.
Woo!
So excited. How was your holidays, Miss Ashley?
Oh,
We haven't really talked since we spent 9 hours shopping together.
Believe it or not, you're actually right. We have not. It's been interesting. Like, it's been cool. Back in school, back working, back grinding, back doing all that good stuff. What about you?
Insert bad. It's been okay, like you. Back to the here and now. Oh yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So it looks like tonight we have on the agenda our Imperial Everyday Woman feature, which I'm excited about. Always excited to feature one of our sisters in the battle out here in these streets.
Were you about to say in the faith?
Right, in the faith. Yes, she is. She's in the faith too. We also are going to talk about accountability tonight. You're going to lead us in a conversation, so I'm excited about that. And then we will we're going to share some ideas around some side gigs and hustles. I don't know if you know this, but up until a couple years ago, I always had about 5 or 6 streams of income.
I believe it.
Mostly because I don't like to sit still, but I also believe in side gigs. I believe in having, I like income coming in throughout the month and not just at a certain time because things may happen. So
yeah,
we'll talk a little bit about side gigs, and then we're going to end with our lessons learned last decade, which I'm really excited about.
That's a lot of years. That's like 10 years if you don't know what a decade is.
When I sat down and did my list, it was pretty simple to come up with my top 10.
Okay.
So let's get it started.
All right.
I'm excited. This is the first time that I am going to be the one to feature our Imperial Everyday Woman. And for tonight, I'd like to give a shout out and a we see you to Corinne Witherspoon. Her loved ones and her friends call her CJ. Ashley, CJ is one that I marvel at, and I don't often tell her. And I think as women, we should get better at that. Just telling each other we see you and you're doing amazing. I know you don't know CJ, so I'll tell you a little bit about her.
I'm excited.
She is in my field, but she's a mom, she's a wife, she is a woman of faith. What impresses me about CJ is CJ's mind moves about as fast as mine does, I think. And you can tell from just talking to her or looking at her social media. CJ is a doc student, so she's working on completing her dissertation. She has 2 kids that are less than 10 years old, so I won't give their ages. But she's got a young family. She's a wife, and she often is putting out there her, dishes. So she cooks every day for her family. She also highlights her organization skills. So she just featured a planner, and she even gave a planner away just to her friends on Instagram. She also is a avid self-care person. So she talks about exercising the mind, the body, the spirit. And I often feel like I know she sleeps, but I don't know when she sleeps because CJ is always highlighting ways to best take care of yourself. And you can tell that that's where her pursuit is. It's not for followers. It's not where she's trying to build her own brand. She really is trying to feed her body and her family the best foods, right? But she is always trying to figure out what's the best possible version of herself she can be. And I don't think we recognize in each other how beautiful that is and how difficult that can be when you have a lot of other stuff going on. She is amazing. She's rocking it out. And we just want to say you are imperial. We see you. We see you living a healthy life. You're pursuing health and well-being, all while taking care of yourself, your family, and trying to grow and be better and do better and be examples for others. So thank you, CJ, for all that you do. We see you, and you're amazing. And keep doing what you're doing.
Shout out to you, Miss CJ. All right, so as you all know, we are about 3 weeks or so into the new year, right? And typically with the new year comes new resolutions and changes and ways to improve yourself or to better yourself, kind of like what Miss CJ is promoting. We're trying to do that typically as New Year resolutions, right? However, I just want to give you this quick statistic. Statistics show that the failure rate for New Year's resolutions are about 80%. And most quit whatever they've resolved by mid-February, according to the New York Post. Listen, when I initially wrote this up, I said 90 days, trying to give us the benefit of the doubt, and no, it's about a month and a half. So, yeah, we normally quit by mid-February. So today, I want to talk about this 14-character word that is accountability. And I think that is probably the key to unlocking resolution commitments and just being committed in general throughout our lives, throughout the year. Even if it's not a resolution, just commitment. I think accountability is the key. So exactly what is accountability, right? Accountability is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. Just because I want to sound smart and sound amazing, I'm deciding to give you guys some definitions really quick. As it relates to ethics and governance, accountability is answerability. It is blameworthiness or culpability. It is also liability in the expectation of account giving. That is what accountability is. And so, D, today I shot you a text message in between all of my other random text messages that simply asks,
no comment.
how do you stay accountable? Is the question that I posed or asked you. Mm-hmm. Would you like to share, number one, what was your thought with that text message? Because it's random, like majority of my text messages.
Indeed. I'm glad you admit that.
And then secondly, what was your response to that text message?
Sure. I get frustrated around the concept of accountability because I don't think we are using it correctly. I think we use accountability as a weapon instead of partnership. And accountability should be first internal, in my opinion, but we use it against another instead of for self, is what I initially thought about. And so when you ask me, how do I stay accountable? I don't think about accountability because to me, my goals are what keeps me accountable. I'm always thinking about what do I need to do better, grow better. I hope that, that shows up in the way that I function in life, to have goals and to pursue those goals. And most of my goals require me to have some to account for things, right? To account for my time, to account for my talents, to account for who I allow into my space, to account for how I take care of others. In order to meet those goals, I have to account for. So I don't do accountability partners because that's code for, can you help me feel bad? So I don't do that thing. And I don't think that should be in a relationship.
Woo!
Sorry.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
Probably said a little too much.
Nope, that's good stuff. So what I've learned regarding accountability in my very long 32 years of living is, and hopefully these lessons or these points you can both agree on, or you can take some pointers from, and hopefully they can help you be successful in both life and with your 2020 resolutions or your goals. Number one, I learned that accountability, it's not easy, right? It takes discipline, I believe. I believe that it takes commitment.
So let me ask you this, though. Then what does accountability look like to you?
Sure. It is...
How is it operationalized?
Sure. I think that accountability, how you show up with accountability is, number one, writing it down, right? I believe that, not to make this quote unquote churchy, but that the Bible is right when it talks about write the vision, right? To make it plain. And so I believe that if I'm going to be successful at anything, if I'm going to be accountable to the thing that I have said yes to, or that I have said that I want to accomplish, then I need to write it out. I need to see it before me. And I agree that you don't necessarily need an accountability partner, but that may work for some people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So writing it out for me and seeing it before me and saying it out of my mouth that I am going to take the time to do what it is I need to do to be successful at this. One of the definitions I used was account giving, right? So giving an account for what it is I've said that I was going to do. And so that's kind of what that looks like to me, is just bringing it and being accountable to me. One of the things that I said that accountability looks like for me is it kind of takes a hand with integrity, right? And I believe that integrity is doing what's right even when nobody's looking.
Sure.
So it's I said that I'm going to graduate in a couple of months, right? I said that I'm going to do that. And so my issue is I don't spend enough time studying. So give an account for that time spent that should have been spent studying.
I hear you.
Right? So that's kind of what my accountability looks like. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
So I think that maybe even with accountability comes transparency. So that's being transparent with yourself and being honest with yourself. Like, if you have no desire to really do what you said you're going to do out of your mouth, then you need to be honest about that, right? And I believe that even from a leadership perspective, you can look at accountability from a leadership perspective. And both you and I are involved in a lot of things sometimes. And in those settings, we're leaders. And so when it comes to leadership, I think that accountability begins with you as a leader.
Sure.
So being accountable to yourself and to the people that you are leading. If you're a leader and you're wondering, how can I be an effective leader? I think that accountability is, it begins with you there. And so that's being transparent, and that's being disciplined and committed to whatever you said you were going to do.
I have seen it abused, right?
Accountability?
Yeah. When someone says they're just holding you accountable, but really maybe it's about how accountability, that's why I said, what does it look like to you?
Sure.
Because it should be in partnership and growth and ultimately in love versus beating you up when you haven't done something that you said you were committed to. Right? So, for instance, if you ask me to help you be accountable for studying, that doesn't include me calling you or giving you guilt trips when you're not.
Yeah.
And be like, why aren't you at the library? You said you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
And I think we get that confused. I don't find a good space for that where accountability looks like holding your feet to the fire, because ultimately that may burn.
Sure. Okay.
Now, if that person says that's what I need you to do, call me every night, see where I'm at. And it makes me think of like the anonymous programs. And since I'm not part of those, I can't really speak to them, but I'm thinking about Al-Anon and some of the others of having like an accountability partner that will come and get you out of the fire.
Yeah.
But I think those are extremes. Those are not standard spaces. If I'm asking you, don't slap the ice cream out of my hand if I ask you to be my accountability partner on my health. But maybe that's what maybe it's individual. Maybe I'm talking it through. That's the beauty of these, and we don't prepare. We don't
plan for it.
Them.
Yeah,
we don't script them. Maybe that's the lesson, is when you agree in accountability, there needs to be an agreement of what that looks like.
Absolutely. I agree because it may be a scenario, kind of like you stated, where you might need to, I might say, hey D, I need you to text me to see if I am studying at 9:00, because that's what I said I'm going to do. And that's when I know that I'm home and I'm doing nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then for another person, it may be just saying, hey, the goal is graduation. And so what are you doing to keep yourself accountable to that deadline?
Sure.
Right. So it's definitely not beating someone up when they aren't successful at or taking steps to doing what they said that they would do.
Because if I buy the ice cream, have you seen that video where the dude walks up to the guy and slaps the food out of his hand?
No.
Listen, if I buy my yogurt and you come up and you slap it out of my hand, we fighting.
But yogurt's good.
But my point is, if I said I wasn't gonna eat yogurt every day because I got a little bit of a, we got our yogurt thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I don't know. Accountability looks a little different. Now, what's the relationship between accountability and mentorship? Are mentors ones who?
I don't believe that you have to be a mentor to keep someone accountable, but I think that mentorship comes with accountability.
Got it. Okay.
What about you?
I've always seen a mentor as a visionary, not as an accountability partner. But I do think a mentor can opt out if you're not doing the things that the mentorship is supposed to garner.
Sure. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Huh.
That's a good conversation.
Really? You think so?
I do. I think I do not see myself as an accountability person because, again, I think a lot of that comes from internal.
Sure.
But if you call me and tell me, can you make sure I don't fall asleep because I'm really tired?
Yeah.
I can be a partner.
Sure.
But I don't want to be, I don't know, it has some reminiscence of supervising and parenting that I just don't want to do.
That's fair. That's good. That's good to know.
You know what's good to mention here too?
Sure.
Is don't agree to be partner with someone in accountability if you don't know yourself enough to know if you can do it or not. And I do have friends who have said, I am too busy. I cannot commit to. So let me not say that I'm going to do that when I know that I cannot do that. What you need, I can't do.
Yeah.
So I do think accountability needs to come from within first.
Absolutely.
And then whoever you're talking to around accountability, it should be substantive. It should be an additive, right?
I like that. I have a friend who kind of like reached out to me at the beginning of the year and just said, maybe I could be your accountability partner. And at first I was like a little
They
hesitant.
offered?
Yeah.
Without you asking?
Yeah. I guess because they're trying to do some things in their life. And so I was like, I guess I could be your accountability partner. And I feel bad. So if you're listening to this person, you know who you are. I feel bad because, like, I feel like they're always reaching up, like, hey, how's it going? You know, giving me updates on their status and then checking on me about my status. And so I'm like, I'm doing a poor job. So I like what you said about that. Like, can you do what you're saying you're going to do? And so that kind of lights a fire up under me. Like, to be, and I actually thought about that today when she texted me, and I was like, Ash, you have to do a better job about that. You have to be committed to being her accountability partner, because that's what you said that you would do.
Do you think, because I don't want to be anybody's accountability partner. Is that bad?
You know what? Can I be honest right now?
Yeah.
Because I text you. Do you remember this conversation? I wasn't going
to mention it, but since you didn't bring it up, I wasn't either.
So I shot Dee a text, and like she kind of high key shot me down, and I was like, you know, it is what it is.
You have to give the listeners more context.
Nope, that's all you get.
If I would be your accountability partner, and I said I cannot commit to that without details.
That was a high key shutdown.
No,
is it
that
not,
was
guys?
wisdom. That was wisdom. You don't commit to anything in a random text. You admitted doing random texts.
Always. That's
you
nothing
don't commit to something and you don't know what you're committing to.
Of course you do, because you know me. So then you know that what you're committing to is not something that's detrimental to your health or to your life or to the things that you hold dear.
There are other things to consider besides detriment. We just talked about it. Do I have the capacity or the time?
But that's different between us.
How?
Because I'm Ashley.
How, Sway? Oh. Because you're Ashley, I know not to answer through text.
Sheesh. And so
you say I'm a bad person because I don't want to be an accountability partner?
No, I just said you high key, shot me down. But it's okay because I'm getting to.
People want to be like, is that something that's a human good to do?
If it's Ashley asking, yes.
Okay, let's get off the Ashley.
Because
let's talk about others.
Okay, then in another capacity that's different because, it's not Ashley. So, we're gonna have to take this out.
No, I said leave it so everybody else can hear. Okay.
I am a little interesting when it comes to the things concerning Ashley.
So, accountability.
Yes, accountability.
I'd love to hear what everybody else is thinking about it.
Please.
Particularly in the context of some of us, we may not call them resolutions, but we might have set some goals for the year. And how are you strategizing to meet those goals so that by the end of the year, you will have committed the time, the energy, the fortitude necessary to accomplish them.
So thank you for listening to this brief discussion about accountability. I hope it was helpful to you and it caused you to think and take a look at yourself to see if there are really things that you want to be accountable for. And then, and if you want to make a change, and the way to do that is through accountability. And you don't necessarily need another person to be accountable.
Indeed. Side gigs and hustles. Side gigs and hustles. So, have you ever had a side gig?
Yes. I started pretty young. I think I texted you recently. about like wanting to get braids, and I told you that I used to braid all of my family's hair when I was about 14, 15 years old. All of my boy cousins, that's when afros were really big and popular in the early 2000s, and that's how I made money and paid my own cell phone bill and all that good stuff.
That's very cool. Yeah. Why'd you stop?
For a number of reasons, because I got tired of it. Like, everybody wanted their hair braided, and I have a lot of boy cousins. And then I started getting carpal tunnel in my hand, and so it's not a good feeling. So I stopped.
Cool.
Yeah.
So instead of sharing side gigs, I just wanted to encourage everyday woman. If you're looking for either extra income or kind of feeling like you're in a rut, just wanted to share with you some principles as through the years I've identified some side gigs and hustles. One is to use your talents. So just like Ashley was talking about, like you were talking about braiding hair.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times we think in such big contexts that we don't realize that we have access to more than we do. So think about something that you do well, and you might already be doing it for people, but you don't charge. It doesn't take a lot to get started having a side gig. Just put an amount to it. Google is great. Google and see what other people are charging, and start where your talents are. Use technology. So I think we talked the last episode. I've gotten into Poshmark, and it has been pretty simple. I got a couple items out there right now that aren't selling, so I'm just going to take them to Goodwill. But use your technology, whether it's people have papers they need typed. Charge per word. That's something that you could do when kids go to bed.
Just be able to type.
That's true. That's true. Whatever, just think creatively about your technology, which is the other point. Be creative. If there's things that you make or things that you do, someone might pay you for them. And then the last one is, it doesn't have to be big to be lucrative. Like Ashley said, braiding hair. I do some web business stuff that's easy to do once my family and everybody is either off doing their own thing or sleep. But it doesn't have to be huge to give you some income here and there. As a musician, I thank my dad. My dad made me become a musician. If I'm broke, it's because I've decided not to use that talent, right? But I could play for the Von Mar, play at Von Mar. That lady plays at piano.
I know, right?
Or I can find other gigs, right? So just be creative. But we're going to ask you, share with us, what are your side gigs? What are your hustles? You can find us on social media and Facebook and Instagram at Everyday Imperial Woman. We'd love to know what kinds of things you're doing as an everyday woman that also gives you a little bit of side income. You may be able to help some others with some great ideas.
For sure.
Top 10 lessons of the decade. I can't wait to hear yours.
Mine?
Yes.
So, what an interesting topic, right? I think that I feel like this is always good to just like take a step back and to look at the things that you've learned, and then to see whether or not to take them into the next decade and the next year. So, I'll just give you 5 of mine.
Okay.
The first thing that I learned was saying no is okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had such a difficult time saying no. Like, I would say yes to everything, like literally everything, and just getting exhausted and sometimes doing stuff you just don't have any business doing because you're afraid to say no. So no is okay.
There must be something going on, because I woke up thinking no is there's so much freedom in no. And that's what I was going to tweet out today in our Twitter. So it's interesting that's your first one, because no has so much freedom.
It does. And you know what? The person I was telling you about accountability, she texted me today, was like, Ash, I was able to say no yesterday.
Cool. That's cool.
And I felt good about it. And I was just like, that's it, bruh. That's what's up. So saying no is okay. The second one was love you first.
Yeah. We're so simpatico.
Really?
Keep going.
That's
yes.
What's up. Third is to forgive. Fourth,
I'm not there yet.
Really?
You just lost me. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, dang. Like, forgive, like, when you mean it. Let me say that. Forgive when you mean it. And learn from your mistakes was one that, like, don't keep doing the same stupid stuff over and over and over and over and over. Sorry. Don't keep doing the same stuff over and over. So learn from your mistakes. And the last one was to keep going until you decide to stop.
Say more, because that's powerful.
When you're tired of doing what it is you're doing, then you'll stop. And you have to be the one to make that choice. So keep going until you feel like, oh, I don't want to do this, or it's not worth doing. Whatever have you, keep going until you decide it's time to stop.
It reminds me of the conversation we had about balance.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
Nobody can decide that for you, so keep going until you're done.
Facts.
I'm living that right now. There's some things I'm done with, and it's been so freeing to know if they pop up again, I don't have to deal with them.
And that's okay for you?
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's what's up.
It's kind of a different kind of anticipation, right?
Yep.
Instead of dread, it's like, let me see it again.
Nope. Yep. I feel like that hit home for me with, I know I talk about school a lot, but that's my narrative right now. That's my story. So, in terms of just like school, like I went to college and I stopped. And then I got into the hustle and bustle of life and work and all that stuff. And then I was like, Ash, go back to school. And who cares how old you are? And go as far as you want until you decide, like, that's enough for me. And I keep saying really quick, I know we have to wrap up soon and get yours. But I know I was sitting in the breakfast you and I went to on this past week. And I was sitting in there, and I've always been saying, I'm done after my bachelor's. Like, nobody can pay me to do a master's. Like, I'm just done. And I was sitting there, and it hit me, Ash, you're almost done with school, like, in a couple of semesters. And I kind of got sad. I was like, masters? Like,
do I hear you calling?
Right. Like, so, like, keep going until you decide.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And if you decide you're done is not where you thought it was, that's okay too.
Yep. You can change your mind.
Except for
sure,
if somebody's putting their hands on you.
Oh yeah.
You're past done, sis.
Chuck the deuces.
And don't do that. Be done even if you're not done. Okay? Okay.
Please.
Be done. All right. Here's mine, and I may not do all 10. The first lesson I thought about when I wrote these down was, I am my greatest commodity. Nobody's going to take care of me, love me, know me, advocate for me like me, because I'm the only one who knows me the way that I know me. So I am my greatest product. And you can't mess around with my greatest product. Interrogates others' perceptions of you, even if they're close to you. You don't have to accept everybody's perceptions of you, because it goes back to, you're the only one who knows you the way you know you. Life is a journey. It is absolutely okay if the paths that you are on with someone cause separation on the journey. You don't have to go, but if separation happens, it's okay, because you can only live your life and no one else's. Sometimes family is hard. I learned that in this decade. extended and immediate can just be difficult. And
yes.
sitcom families are sitcoms. I think it's okay to get some rules about, here's our rules of engagement and here's what we will and won't allow.
Sure.
But family can just be difficult. I'm not talking about mine. I'm saying in general, being in relationship with people can be really hard.
You're so right.
Protect your sanity and your peace as if it is something someone could steal, just like you don't want them to steal your purse. Hold fast to your sanity.
I don't think I heard that so much until I met, well, I've always met you, but until I started talking to you, like, you really believe in that. So, like, people say it, but I think you really do live by that. So
I appreciate
that's pretty
that.
cool.
I had to grow there.
Yeah.
Having anxiety attacks helped me get there. And once I realized anxiety was attached to fear and attached to people having access, it became a lot easier for me to be like, no. And I'll look somebody dead in the eye. I will look at a text that asks me to be accountability partner and be like, no. That was so foul.
It was. And I'm not even going to take it to heart.
Let's keep going. My next one was love can be weaponized. So just because someone loves you doesn't mean that they can't use that against you.
Ooh, but is that love though? Then
I said just because they say they love you doesn't mean, like, it can be weaponized. And I do think someone can love you and use it as a weapon. If they're motivated by fear, if they're motivated by protection, you can be motivated by fear, right? I'm scared that you will leave me. I'm scared that you'll be hurt out there.
Sure.
And so I use it as a weapon by restraining you, keeping you from living life to its fullest. Mental warfare. You're not buying it. That ain't love. Next on the next episode of Imperial Everyday Women.
What is love?
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Okay. Love can be weaponized, but we need to talk about whether or not that's really
We'll
love.
expound later.
Yep. You owe no one nothing. You know nothing to no one. Absolutely no one. You owe nothing.
Okay.
You don't buy it.
I'll go with it.
Yeah, you don't owe anyone anything. I would say I owe my mother respect. It's the only thing and only person I owe. Because we need to do an episode on love. Because obligation is a tricky thing. When would you? I wish y'all could see Ashley's face. When would you feel like you would owe someone something?
I think we'll talk about it when we talk about love.
Really?
I think we'll hit on it.
Oh, I believe you owe no one any. I don't owe anyone anything. We need to look at the definition of owe.
Or love.
Yes, but how did love come into you owe? You're saying if you love someone, you owe them something?
No, the joke was, you owe no man nothing but to love them. Right?
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah. Oh, really? Mm-mm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, this is my life lessons from my decade, and my lesson was I don't owe anybody anything.
I like that though.
Be intentional. Don't confuse people with institutions. That can be detrimental. Don't.
Ooh, can you expound, please?
Yeah. Don't commit and be faithful to an institution. Institutions aren't people.
Okay.
For instance, I love the institution that I work at, but if I die tomorrow, they will have a moment of silence and then they'll post the job. So, have I been faithful for 20 years to people, or have I been faithful to an institution that fires at will? Right? So, my life lesson has been to not confuse people with institutions. And then the top one is my children are most important. Hands down, above all, it's my kids. And I think it's because I'm an older mom now. 10 years ago, they were babies. And I knew it, but I didn't know how I was going to have to advocate for them in these last 10 years. And so you want to see a mother bear mess with my kids. It's on and popping.
That's good. That's a good list.
So, Miss Ashley, we're back. And I'm excited.
We're excited for you guys to listen to us.
It looks like the next time we get together, we're going to talk about love, and I'm excited about that. What is love? What is real love? And what does it look like? So I hope you all will join us on the next episode.
I'm excited to talk about it, honestly.
For you women out there, again, this podcast is about highlighting everyday women that are doing everyday things, and they've dismissed it as being normal or being less than the woman they're sitting next to. Whether you are taking care of your family or taking care of yourself, married, single, parent or not, in a relationship or not, a woman of size or not, you are still amazing. Everything about you. And we gladly remind you every couple weeks. Until the next time, be well.